Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday night, our weekly show and share event where we share wins and projects and failures and things in progress and all sorts of things. It's great fun and we love to see what y'all are up to. We will kick it off with David Martin, who's going to talk about a kit for free. I presume this kit, K-I-T, all capitals, is the car from the 1980s television program Knight Rider. I'll be terribly disappointed if it's not. Take it away.
Well, it's not quite that car. You could probably make something like that little light flashy thing with it, but you'd have to correct it considerably, which would be well worthwhile project. So I had this great idea that I was going to use my entire effort of learning electronics over the ridiculous amount of time that it took me. I was going to teach a class. And then I went and I found a student, and I bought like 10 of these things. And the student says, I've never put one of these together before. It would never have worked if you weren't watching me. This is a good second project, not a good first project. It may have been the 40-pin microprocessor on board, or it could have been the LED displays, or who knows what it was, but it was kind of a lot. So I thought, I'll bet I know somebody who would like to play with this. So I did. This is a pretty nice little company. I found it on Amazon. And shortly after I explained what it was I was doing, that I needed so many of those things, that they started bundling them that way so that I would just do it again. Who knew I had so much control at Amazon? I did not. But anyway, it was a fun kit. It does work. I've had it running my copy for maybe a year. It's fine, works great. It'll show you the approximate temperature in metric centigrade. And if you were really determined, you could rewrite the code to convert it to Fahrenheit and show that instead. I didn't do that. You could, though. So anyway, that's my great plan. And I don't know how many there are in the electronics shop on the free table, but it's more than one. Have at it. Yeah.
Thank you, David, and I'll forgive the transgression of its not being a cool car because of your generosity, so thank you very much. Cool. We go from electronics to something I am extraordinarily interested to learn what it is. Monica's going to talk to us about worm grunting stobs, all of which are words I know, but I've never seen them together.
So for the summer, am working at a summer camp at IAMS, hence the shirt and all. And my age group is the 6 to 8 year olds. This week, our theme is decomp detectives. And we were like, how can we get the kids interested in touching mushrooms and talking about decomposers and everything? And we thought worms. And it's been rainy this weekend, so we decided to try worm grunting, which, if you don't know, is when you take a stick that has a groove and you stick it in the ground and you rub another stick, kind of like those frogs that have the grooves, and they go, and the vibrations are supposed to sound like a mole is coming for them. And they know that moles don't like sun, so then they go up and then you can dig and find them. So I did my very first woodworking project here because I've been terribly afraid of adopting my dad's curse, which is cutting off part of my finger or hammering my hand or something. But I got to use 3 whole saws for this. I got to use the miter saw, the table saw, and the band saw. And I have pictures. The kids wouldn't let me bring them back. But I have pictures. So that's them. I made 15, so they all had to share. But yeah, I just found some like scrap wood, and I just cut them in half and made a little angle right here for the kids to stick them in the ground, and then some little grooves for the kids to rub them up on and everything. So that went pretty well, actually. I have some pictures of them all like doing the thing. So that's them. That's some of the kids worm grunting.
So the worms actually came up to the surface?
Yeah, it was really cool. We made some fun discoveries, which is that if you are worm grunting, it's better to have somebody that's also digging around you because they don't come up all the way, and that it'll happen not exactly where you're worm grunting, which was very disappointing for them, but like in a kind of area. And if you have more than one person doing it, you're all gonna like compound your effects. So that was pretty fun. And I made stobs, which is the grooved stick for worm grunting. And that was pretty awesome. And then this afternoon, they all made worm houses for the worms that we caught. So I thought it was really kind of fitting that I got to be a maker and then inspired a bunch of little makers, which was really great. So that was awesome.
Fascinating. I love that. Thank you. Next up, we've got Thea, who's going to show us an in-progress box, trapezoid, pyramid, who knows?
So I've done show and shares before on my box projects. It started off with an accidental pin on Pinterest. We all know how that works. So the first one I made was before Christmas, and it was from my mom. I actually used it as wrapping paper, that's the inside of it, for her Christmas tree ornament that was hand smocked. Then I decided that that was kind of boring. It was a plain box. So then I made the specialty box for a quilting project, but it opens differently and has more functionality. So that one has a fabric hinge on the top because it gets more use, and it flips open and holds my quilting squares. So I'm also a knitter, and I've got these skeins of yarn. When you transport them in a bag, they tend to flop around, your project gets tangled, and a lot of times your yarn will end up caught in the bearings at the bottom. So then you have to untangle it before you can do anything. So my current project is I'm going to make a trapezoidal box that will fit the cone, and I plan on putting pockets on the inside, which is the first time for me. And then it should be a self-contained carry system that I can just flop open and use. So we'll see how it actually turns out. So far, I'm actually pretty satisfied. I just started with the carrying handle, which I glued in place, and then I started stitching. And so far, it doesn't look too bad. We are doing a fabric box class this Saturday at 10 a.m. There are 3 tickets left, and we'll be making the original box. So Stitch and Bitch is at 1, so if you want to stay and finish your box, there will be people there to help. Any questions? All right.
How long will it take?
That depends on whether you choose hot glue or stitching.
Stitching.
Oh, stitching takes probably 3 days.
Okay. Fair enough.
Hot glue, you'll be able to finish it in 4 to 5 hours.
Fair enough.
We move now from containment for fiber things into containment for something else, probably, maybe. Bill's going to tell us about a wooden bowl.
Be careful when you say yes to somebody asking, will you? And whatever it is, be very careful. I was asked to participate in our church's VBS and be a craftsman, a carpenter. So I decided to demonstrate stuff using hand tools. So this bowl was started with an adze to chop out some of the inside. Then I got a hold of the carving gouges to further refine the inside. And then I used gouges for the outside. And I cheated a tiny bit, a little bit of sandpaper, but mostly it was all hand tools. But this is a piece of oak, spalted, wormy holes. When I go to sawmills, I'm always looking for that something. And I found a pallet of cutoffs that was headed for the burn pile. And so I offered the guy $20 and I got a pallet full of short end pieces of wood. Anything from oak to sycamore to this to that to every which way. And this is a piece of stuff that was destined for a burn pile. And now not so much. But over time, you can part of this, it's a little bit thicker on some of the edges, so I should have gotten a little thinner. I free-handed the bowl shape, so it's not perfectly round because it was free-handed, not done with a compass. And it was all done with hand tools, so it's kind of an ish, close-ish to what we need to do. But it will hold something. I've had stuff in it, so it holds stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of the purpose of a bowl, is to hold and contain something.
When you say stuff, do you mean like cookies, or could it hold a bowl of cereal?
Because of the wormholes, I'd be a little apprehensive on cereal. If I made another one that did not have wormholes, I would go ahead. I wouldn't have any problem doing anything liquid. Earlier, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months ago, I made little wooden cups with a handle for drinking. The kuksa, the Scandinavian cups, they drank out of them. You see them in the 1700s around the U.S. as well. They would carry them on their belt on a leather strap. And so, yeah, you can, as long as you keep it oiled up. I mean, I've got wood conditioner that we made as a project here at Knox Makers. There's some over on the shelf. It's food safe. And so just lather a piece of wood up with that stuff and you're good to go.
Is that bowl conditioned, or is that just what it looks like?
This is conditioned. That has a layer. It could probably use another layer because I usually smear the conditioner on for a day, overnight, and then wipe it off. Oftentimes it soaks in even more, so a second coat wouldn't hurt it. But the thing with wood conditioners, you can apply as needed. So every 3 months, 6 months, year, whenever, if it looks like it's drying out, slap some more on, wait overnight, wipe it off, and you're good to go. It's mineral oil and beeswax. It's 4 to 1, 4 mineral oil to 1 beeswax. So
How long did it take, Bill?
if I were to sit down and do this beginning to end, probably about 3 hours. I also have a tool from Kudzall that goes on an angle grinder. And it's a domed little dish thing that has carbon tungstide little bits on it that eats wood and flesh and bone and everything else that gets in its way. But it would make short order of this. I mean, you'd really scream these out or crank them out pretty fast. But again, that's cheating, you know.
And what are the cups, the Scandinavian?
They're called Kuksa, K-U-K-S-A. And again, I use hand tools on that just primarily because that's what I like to do. I like to carve. So using the hand tools for me is therapeutic.
I know some people thought I was here in the 1700s, but I was here for the 1800s. Still overseas, right? Right.
I'm wondering how you got the rough shape of the outside. Did you just use a straight saw to saw your piece into its rough shape?
I did bandsaw the circle, but then this part here that's like when it's square here, I turned it upside down. I clamped it in, I clamped it in a Moxon vise, and I just used a kind of a shallow and just,
I was wondering how you got the general shape.
yeah. Normally, if I were being traditional, I would have used an adze. So they make an adze, which is like a hatchet on sideways that's got a curved blade and then a straight blade. So the straight blades would do the outside edges to chop off the rough parts, and then the curved blade would be for the inside of the bowl. But I cheated.
Thanks, Bill. I think, personally think that'd make a pretty good temporary container for grunted worms, but so maybe a collaboration here. But, next, we've got Tucker, who's going to talk about a boot resole and hat stitching.
Alrighty, so I've never done a show and share before, so I don't know like how close I should be to the mic. I might be like screaming into it over here. These are my Red Wing Iron Rangers. They're made in the U.S. boot, if I can pull them apart. And what I did was took and pulled the old sole off and can I move this up? Nope, that's focus. We'll be fine. And what I did was took and pulled off the old sole and took, I don't know if you guys know, in the leather working zone, we have really, really thick sheets of veg tan leather that you can't do anything with, hardly. You can make like coasters out of them. But what I did was cut out a shoe sole pattern, and then I made a midsole out of it. These boots from the factory, they don't come with a midsole. They just have the welt stitched to the outsole. The welt's this little piece that holds it to the boot. And there's just cork in between. So it makes it more flexible, but you don't have anything but like a quarter of an inch between you and the ground. So I used that really thick leather for a midsole. Then I added on the Vibram sole. It's a really nice soft crepe sole instead of like the cork rubber that they put on from the factory, so it makes it a little bit softer. On one of them, I really messed up because when you're cutting with a razor blade, you got to make sure that your hand is not angled too far down. And when I was doing that, I had cut, I don't know if you can see it, too far down into the sole, and so now there's a permanent little angle on the heel.
Call it a feature.
Do what now?
Call it a feature.
It's a feature, yeah. Well, anything perfect is bound to be ruined, so you got to add a little bit of touch to it. I think they're not done yet because I want to go through and take off the black edge finishing on there and replace it with a natural one. That way you can see that leather midsole pop out and look a lot better with the brown leather. Because right now it's like this really shiny black, and I'm not a big fan of it. Other thing I was working on was on my hat. These come from the Stetson factory with really like crappy polyester sweatbands. And so they're really soft, but they kind of like, they don't do much. So I took some really nice veg tan, and I stitched that in there. Just on top of the sweatband, adds a little bit of cushion, a little bit more breathability. And I'm also working on this this hat band. Let me just pull it off. Nope. And I took a kid's belt and pulled the buckle off of it, as well as the little tip there, and made it into a hat band. But yeah, that's about it for me.
We'll keep the stitching theme going through another share. Anna Lou's going to talk about in-progress stitching. Thanks.
Hello. Okay. How short am I? Hi, my name is Anna Lou. I'm new to Knoxville and new to here and hoping to join. I'm an artist. I do a lot of things with needles. The thing I've been doing the longest, though, would be cross-stitch and embroidery, but I sew clothes and any kinds of things, and I knit with needles, and I make tattoos with needles. But so this piece is in progress. It's almost finished, but it's going to be wow, I can't believe how nervous I am right now. It's going to be the finishing piece of an art show that I have opening downtown, which is awesome because I just moved here. So I'll be there at First Friday. But the show is called Hyper Healing. And I started making this around February or March of 2024. It is cotton curtains that I got from Goodwill for $2. And the edges I just unsewed because I like to take things apart before using them, and then I ironed it. And the two pieces I put together in the middle and then stretched them to the edges, and then I basted it with safety pins, which is what a lot of quilters do. I do quilting too, but my grandma taught me. But the start of it, so I really like spirals. This is my spiral tattoo. When I get to overwhelmed by the bigness of everything, I look at this and I start on the outside and I work in, and it's kind of like a little meditation to go, okay, I can center myself. But sometimes I get too hyper-focused on a detail, and then all this time goes by and I don't know what day it is. So then I start in the middle and I go outwards, and it helps me like connect back to the universe. So this is my little, yes, centering charm. But my grandmother died in April 27th of 2023, and she taught me all the stitching things and cooking and crafting. And my grandpa used to say, we're going to the flea market so we can get old wood things that she can, and old things that she can put, he would cuss because he was a sailor, stuff in or paint stuff on. Yeah. So here's the start of it. I started with this blue thread that I had already had. I've been doing embroidery for a long time, so I had a collection of embroidery, and I kept it wrapped in just little baggies. I put things in baggies so I can see them. And then it just goes out, and each color it changes. Now it's July of 2026, and I'm still working on it, but I'm almost finished. But I got to the edges, but now I'm at the corners, so I have like this much left. And it's a clockwise spiral from the center. The whole thing is a spiral.
You go to the other side.
And this is the stitched side. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the ends yet, if I'm going to leave them hang or if I'm going to tie them or something. But leaving them hang leaves it so it's...
Camera's on that side.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
There you go.
Now the whole world can see.
Leaving it hang is sort of a way that it can be continuously used, because sometimes it pulls and then I can just pull it back. But here's where I am right now. So if you ever see me somewhere, this is my fidget toy, and I'm just, doing little stitches. I really like quilting, which is just the up and down, but this, because it's so thin, there's this thing, a Japanese traditional called sashiko, and it became a lot of people's quarren talent. Like, they got really interested in it. They usually do it on that indigo. But then I inherited my grandmother's embroidery thread, and she put them on these little cards with the numbers, as you can see, and in order. And that's when I realized, after my grandmother's death, that I inherited her attention to detail and, autism. But so that is my healing tapestry.
Thank you. Welcome to Knoxville. Welcome to Knox Makers. You did great. I believe it's Derek is going to come in and show us, I think, some wooden carvings. Come on up.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Derek, and I'm originally from St. Lucia, the Caribbean islands, and I've been in the U.S. for a little over 20 years, back and forth. I just recently came back here. My partner and I, Valerie, the young lady which was here, we were down there for about 6 months. I went to see my mom and spend time with my extended family and so forth. It's been a while, And happy to be back, but I love wood carving. It started off as a hobby. I had a friend many years ago who carved, and I just always, looked at him, looked at what he did, and I just took it all in because that's how I typically take in information, and I finally became aware that I'm more of a visual person, and I can see something and I can reproduce it, and I'm good with my hands as well. And I could always remember he said that he was upset that he never saw anyone, pick up a piece of wood and carve anything. And when I came here to the U.S., that was the first time, that was the first thing that jumped out at me. I was like, I need to get myself into doing something. And wood carving just, there it was. So I was like, okay. So I looked up a few different wood carving videos and get myself familiarized, like where to get tools, what kind of tools do I need. I went to Hobby Lobby, I got some cheap tools. I was like, okay, well, this doesn't work. Because I was working with oak, I knew nothing about wood. And then finally I came across some decent tools. And then I started carving, and it became a hobby off and on, and I started getting more and more immersed in it. I even had a few fellow wood carvers, I worked with and studied a little from them. And but what captured my attention was the three-dimensional. I really enjoyed it. I was curious as to how do you do this, because it's all about figuring it out. And one gentleman who carved is from Honduras. And they have phenomenal wood carvers, in that neck of the wood there. And he showed me. I saw what he did, but it just wasn't getting through, And at that period of my life, I was in South Carolina. I was up on a ladder painting, and all of a sudden, it's like somebody hit me alongside the head with a brick. I was like, oh, there it is. So I was very excited. Now, yeah, that's figuring that is one thing, and then getting it into practice is another. So I was aware of the path. Now is to get on the path, and stick to it. And then slowly, I worked and worked and worked. I was like, well, so I beating up myself because I was like, well, I'm not getting this. But I slowly became aware that everything in time, and everything takes patience, be patient with myself. And even if it looks like a failure, it's not really a failure. It's a practice. And you have there's immense potential, and it's limitless as to how far you can go with it, and how wide you can go with it. You can from here to Europe, to Africa. You can become a figurehead, or a creative artist to inspire people from all across, across the world, across the country, the community, and so forth. And I kind of was procrastinating a little, and then finally I heard this voice say to me, if you're not going to do anything with it, let it go. I was like, whoa. So I was like, well, I can't let this go, because I love doing this, I'm saying this is part of me, and we've been to and through together, with my art, and then I finally said, okay, well, I'm going to do something with it, share it for other people, inspire other people, and push myself forward, And this piece is, this one's, I love carving mushrooms, and do I need the, how did this?
Try.
Oh, okay.
Zoom in and out. You
Oh.
keep it part of it there. Yeah, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, this is a piece this is of two different pieces. One I was commissioned to do a piece, and this one was another piece which I just right off my head. It was a solid block of wood. And then I just started, I was like, well, I'm just gonna work with the wood and see what it wants to be, instead of me trying to force it to be what I want it to be. And then I started working, then eventually I started the mushroom started to appear, and I was like, oh wow, well, I was like, oh, maybe I can do this here, maybe do that here, I have all these options. And slowly, you know, as I'm working, you know, all the mushrooms just eventually popped out exactly where they wanted to be, you know, and I just worked with it, you know, and I love being creative, and I'll pass this piece down. And the story of this piece is when we were in St. Lucia, my partner and I, her parents, Lee and Leah, they were also in St. Lucia as well, came to visit because they love traveling, you know, they have a passion for life, you know, put it as that, you know, and they're just phenomenal individuals to be around and to talk to, you know, very inspiring, loving, caring, and all that good stuff, you know. And I had where we were staying, the homeowner said she was like an egret because her husband, he is a Nobel laureate of St. Lucia. And he wrote a poem called White Egret. And so she asked me to carve an egret for her as well. So, and among the many pieces which I did, this is one of the pieces which I carved, and she didn't take this one, but there was another one I started when she saw it. She was like, oh, I love that one because it doesn't have as much detail and it's just perfect. So I was like, okay, you know, she was very happy with it. And this piece is about 3 feet tall, and it's one solid block of mahogany. And we communicated well enough because every time I worked on it, I'm like, you know, I was like, I'm not too happy with it, and kept looking at it, you know, come from work, I'd sit down, look at it, leave it alone, go do something, come back, sit and look at it, dabble with it a little bit, and then finally, I was like, okay, I need to get this done, and then finally I sat down and then really hone in and connect with the piece, and I love it, you know, and it just inspires me to be even better, you know, so I'd love to share that with you guys as well. And this piece here is a scorpion, which I started last year and had me very intimidated. It just sat there every time I walked in. I looked at it, looked at me, it's like, hey, what's going on, you know? I just was like, hey, and just walk out the door, you know? It just moved it here, moved it over there, and it just kept on eyeing one another in passing, you know, and I was like, yeah, I need to get this done, and I was worried about not having enough material to make it, making it what it needs to be. And I was like, and I was like, ooh, every time just like, hey, how's it going, you know, and finally I was like, you know, I need to get this done, this piece done, you know, and it's like he was talking to me saying, hey, you know what, it's practice, you know, it's not about being good, it's about connecting with the piece, you know, even if I didn't capture it today, there is always tomorrow, you know, the next attempt will be far better because once you've done a piece a certain way, you never forget it. You know, it's all information you take in, you upload, you download, you know, well, next time, instead of taking out a ½ inch here, I take a ¼ inch off instead. And then you know, we started talking and working, you know, got my tools out, and I knew I wanted it to look like it's like scorpion on rocks, like in its own environment. And so So I started with the bass because I was kind of fearful about the upper, but it's all that intimidation. It's like, do you have what it takes to do it? And in overcoming that, then I just slowly, took little steps and started working and chipping away, and then finally I started seeing where it's like I I need to go with it. I need to take out some hair, take out this there. This needs to go, that needs to go, this needs to stay. This needs to be lower down, and it's all like you turn it in all different directions to make sure the sides look the same, and so it's a lot of what's the word? I'd say it's a lot of give and take. You know what I'm saying? And also, I also became aware that there's there's room for error too. And with that error, it doesn't mean that you failed. It's like a teacher teaching you. You should not have done this, but you did it. But it's not that. Why beat up yourself? Because you have that understanding. You've already gained that wisdom. So now you could pursue, even a lot stronger. Become a lot more fierce. You're like, okay, I got this now. I know what not to do. And the basis of wood carving is knowing what not to do. Because instinctively we feel that we know what needs to be done. So in doing what needs to be done, if you don't have the understanding of what not to do, then that's when the piece becomes a teacher and teaches you and shows you, and just being patient and being gentle with yourself, just getting into that flow state, that creative mindset, and then once you get into that, it's like opening a dam. So, just letting that water flow, and it's almost done. I'm just doing the tedious, the really tedious work in just getting everything together. It's like creating a shirt. You have the sleeves. You have the buttons. All the little intricate designs to what already makes the shirt a shirt. And this piece, like I said, I'm happy with it. Because I've learned a lot, and I know I'm a lot more determined, that I'm a lot more inspired that the next piece like this, it's a lot, I can work with greater ease to say, and I'd love to share that with you guys as well. Just be gentle with it because it's raw point. So
if you want, I'm nervous to hold on. If you're willing, maybe at the tables outside, instead of the top. If you're game. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much.
And our last share tonight, did anyone mean to get on the list and didn't? Go for it, Sean. Yeah. You got something?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You're not convincing me. Come on up. Come on up.
We're on the internet. Wait.
You guys know I'm always safe for work, mostly. Let me find my... Okay, so this is both I want to show what I did and a shameless plug. As the Lathe Turns is the third Thursday of every month, which is this coming Thursday. I wanted to mention that because one of the things we're going to do is actually look at doing a group pen buy if people are turn pens and stuff. So I wanted to throw that out there. But this month we have our challenge, and we have a challenge which is in this case pretty much just everybody try to do whatever it is. So we're trying to do a live edge bowl. Live edge means it's got bark on it still. And so mine, if I can kind of show, if I can figure out how to zoom, anyways. So I started with this piece of wood here because I was like, that's some really cool looking bark, and it'd probably be a decent looking bowl. And then I cut into it, and I was like, well, there's some holes in this, and I mean, I've seen lots of bugs and stuff in wood, but this one here actually had some actual, mostly live bugs in it, and so that was kind of sketchy. But I turned it anyways, and started turning it, and I started to see that there was even more worms than I thought. I didn't even have to like get a stick and shove this and make it any noise or nothing. They just started like coming out. And eventually I got to the point where it was almost like more worm than wood. And at that point, that's where I kind of gave up. And because there was not a lot of stability left in this thing, and I was spinning at about 800 RPM. Yes, I wear a full mask because I like all of my face. So I switched wood, and I put some nice hackberry on there instead. And because the first one I called out as a total failure, and it went in the fire pit because there was too many things moving in it. I don't like things to move in my projects if they don't have to. So I started there and started, did a little bit better until I got to the point where it was broken. And man, I was like mostly done. I mean, this thing was nice and thin and everything else. And so, never give up, right? It's currently sitting at my workbench full of epoxy. And when I go home tonight, I'm going to see if it actually will hold. But I will be wearing that full face mask anyways. And I guess the next update on that will be at the As the Lathe Turns, which if you guys want to come out to it, it's just a free event we do. It's basically our turning club. And that's Thursday at 7. So, cool. Thank you.
You've managed to combine Monica and Bill's share into one. Bringing up the rear tonight, we've got Jacob who's going to share a maker vignette video, I believe commemorating our member who moved away recently, Amy. So thanks, Jacob. Come on up.
So back in March, when the fundraising activities were starting to come to a peak and I was feeling pretty gung-ho, I approached Tracy about doing some maker vignettes. Just wanted to highlight the people that make this place and some of the projects they do. And Amy L. volunteered to be our first victim. So we put her in front of the camera. I think these little projects are turning out good. We want to do several of them. We have one other shot and currently in the process of post. But these are things that happen in the pockets of time that we have. So this is Amy's. I am also realizing that I should start these videos with a single black frame. This is not the best opening frame. But that's so Amy. It's so and oh yeah, hang on. This other,
I hope so.
And let me check one other thing. Okay, audio's up. And then I think on this microphone, oh no. It should work. Let's just try it. Okay, we're gonna hope. Alrighty. Yeah.
I'm Amy, and I've been working on a baby mobile. The big thing with something like knitting is that if I'm watching TV or something, I find it difficult to keep my hands still. I find it really satisfying to always be working on something, even if it's just for fun. And I also really like the idea of having something in my mind, and if it doesn't exist yet, just being able to make it exactly how I meant to and how I want it to be. And also the process of problem solving to make that happen is all really fun for me. I've been a member of Knox Makers for about 3 or 4 years now. I just found an event online that was our Tuesday show and share, and it sounded really interesting. I didn't know what the vibe was, so I just came in, saw that they had a wood shop, this fiber arts area, all kinds of different equipment, and I thought it'd be a really cool place to join. Knox Makers is really great because it's not simply access to all of the tools and the space and the equipment, which is true. That's a big part of how Knox Makers has helped me make new things. But it's also the sense of community. Talking to people gives me inspiration. If I ever need help or advice, there's always someone who knows better and is happy to help me. And then also being able to be a part of that community where I also give back, I think makes me a better maker. I really love that Knox Makers provides generally like affordable classes, especially for its members who get a discount. And it's always taught by another member who really just wants to share what they know. And that sense of community level engagement is really helpful. I also sometimes teach classes on how to knit, how to crochet, making crocheted stuffed animals, and sometimes a sticker class with a vinyl cutter. I'm able to give back to this community that has given me so much and has made me such a better maker. It gives me a real sense of satisfaction to be like, I am part of this community. I'm engaged both as a receiver of community and a giver of community. I think it could be for anyone who loves to make things, is even interested in making things, who wants to be less scared of saws. I came into Knox Makers and joined in part because I was terrified of saws, like would not even make a basic cut if I needed a piece of wood cut. So it's for people who already love to make and love that sense of engagement with their hands, and anyone who wants to jump in and dive in a community that will really support them in their learning progress.
So yeah, we're looking to do more eventually. But yeah, part of this was putting out feelers too to see who might be the next victim. I'm talking to a few different people, but I want to have a light library for Tracy to pull from for fundraising efforts or whatever. So thank you.
What a lovely video featuring a lovely person. Thanks a lot for that. A few announcements tonight before we wrap up. First, next week, so every Tuesday you show up and we're doing show and share, except for one Tuesday in January. Next week, we break that rule. There's no show and share. It's going to be a special program, which I'm not at liberty to speak about. I invite you to all put your wildest theories in Mattermost and whatever. So there will be food. It is our cookout, third week. Bring a dish if you like, a side dish. We'll have burgers, dogs, and if you want it, I think veggie burgers or something similar. Bring an appetite, bring a friend, and join us for a special program. That's all the announcements I have. Events, unless, Aliki, do you have anything market related, or you good?
You should come.
Come to the market.
To the market.
October 4th. October 4th, Sunday, 1 to 5.
You gotta give me at least 5-minute notice.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't have that much for myself.
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday. Makers Market. It's great. You can sign up for a booth and sell your wares. You can come and buy lovely homemade or handmade wares from Knoxville.
Sign up for a booth might be a little hard. We're at capacity.
We're at capacity.
Just everybody hasn't paid yet.
That just tells you how good a market it is. So come and buy things and see wonderful things from community makers. We don't. And Kill Switch, which is a robot monster fighting competition that Larry spearheads. Come for that. That's in October. Other events more timely tonight. In about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes after this, we're going to do a new members onboarding program. If you aspire to be a member, or if you're just curious and it's your first time here, come see this. We tell you about kind of how it works and what we do, what we're all about. And if you're going to be a member, it's required before we accept your membership. So come now, come later. We'd love to see you. If you're new here, if you haven't had a tour, find somebody with a red badge or somebody with a green badge or a purple badge, some kind of Knox Makers paraphernalia, and we can get you a tour if you haven't had one yet. And then classes coming up on July 16th. As Sean mentioned, we have As the Lathe Turns, hopefully wormless, but we'll see. Friday, July 17th is the Cam Jam, which is for... It's CNC stuff. It's learning how to make drawings that work for CNC things. Free CAD. This is just a social event, non-ticketed, I believe. Just show up and trade stories and wisdom and stuff. That's Friday at 6:30. Saturday, July 18th, very full day. There's a fiber arts box making hinged box with a lid at 10 a.m., which Thea showed and teased. There's a woodworking 101 class, which when I looked had tickets. That's a very popular class. Get it if you want it. That's at 10:30 a.m. Saturday. 1 p.m. Saturday is Stitch and Bitch, so Fiber Arts Social. Great fun. And then also on Saturday at 4:30, we have the first installment of a several installment art class. And this one is how to create form with color. And I'm super jealous. I'm not able to make it, and it sounds fabulous. We do have tickets left. Get those. Learn to paint. Sunday, July 19th, there's a board meeting that's online. You will post a link in Mattermost, our chat server. That'll be at 4. Come join us. I don't know if it's interesting, but you get to see a little bit of how the sausage is made, and maybe that's interesting to some people. So come if you want to. July 21st, next Tuesday, the special program, no show and share. Bring an appetite, bring a friend. Bring your conspiracy theories about what the announcement or what the program is. I believe that is it. Stick around if you're new or if you're just interested in new member onboarding. We'll commence that. We'll say at 8 prompt, on the nose, on the dot. Otherwise, go out in the space, find somebody to give you a tour if you haven't had one, and enjoy. Thanks.